So this is lesson 53 for Algebra 1, and we're going to talk about the power rule for exponents as well as volume conversions. So let's start with the power rule. The power rule applies when you have a power to a power. So for example, if I have 2x squared and it's taken to the third power. So just to kind of illustrate how the rule works, the 3 here, this is the exponent. It means that this is happening 3 times. This is multiplying by itself 3 times. So I can say 2x squared times 2x squared times 2x squared if I want to write it all out. And then I can just multiply the 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. And then we know that the product rule for exponents is when you have the same base, you can just add the exponents. And right here, the base is x, and so we can just do 2 plus 2 plus 2, which is 6. So it would be x to the 6th. And so that's, if you ever forget the rule, you can always write it out the long way. But the shortcut is basically you take the number inside to the third power, so 2 to the third power is 8, and then you multiply the exponents. If it's a power to a power, the exponents are multiplied, so 2 times 3 is 6, so 8x to the 6th. So that's the rule. It's pretty simple. Let's go ahead and apply it in a little bit more difficult example. So let's see. We have 3 to the 0 power times y to the negative 2nd power times z to the 5th power. And we're going to put that over x to the 3rd and everything to the negative 3rd. That's a 5 there, z to the 5th. Okay, thought I was going to sneeze, but I didn't, so we're going to keep going. And so we're going to use the power rule for this. The first thing I look at is the 3 to the 0 power, which is just 1 if I think about it, so I don't really need to do anything with that because 1 times anything is just itself. But now I'm going to go ahead and use the power rule to simplify. So if I look at y to the minus 2 and that's taken to the minus 3, it becomes y to the positive 6th power because we multiply the exponents. Same with the z. Multiply the exponents, I get z to the negative 15th power. And then on the bottom I've got x to the 3rd, and then we multiply that to negative 3, so it's now x to the negative 9th power. And in this question, I'm going to write all the variables in the numerator. So in order to do that, I need to take the x and move it up and make it positive exponent. So it would be x to the positive 9, y to the 6th, and z to the 15th. So let's have you do another example on your own. So this example is x squared y to the negative 2nd over 3m to the 4th k to the negative 2nd, and then y to the negative 2nd m over x to the 3rd k squared. So this whole expression, use the power rule to simplify it and then write all the variables in the numerator. So go ahead and pause the video and give it a try. So let's check this answer together. Using the product rule, I'm going to multiply the exponents. So I have x to the negative 4th, y to the positive 4. Now on the bottom I have 3 to the negative 2nd. I'll just write it like that for now. And then m to the negative 8th and k to the negative 2nd. So all I've done so far is just apply the product rule. I can do the same to the other expression, which I have y to the minus 4 m squared over x to the 6th and k squared. Now I can put everything in the numerator. So when I put everything in the numerator, that's a minus 4, I can just move things that have a negative exponent up to the top. So with this first one, the 3 to the minus 2 goes up on top, and it becomes 3 to the second power, which is just 9. And then I have x to the negative 4th, y to the 4th. The m to the 8th becomes positive, and the k squared also. So I've moved everything up top. Same thing for the second one. I'm going to go ahead and move everything up top. So now I have a y to the negative 4th still, m squared, and then x to the minus 6 since I'm moving it up top, and k to the negative 2nd since I move it up top. So now I can just simplify the variables that are the same base by adding the exponents using the product rule, excuse me. So I still have 9. If I look at my x's, I have x to the minus 4 and x to the minus 6. If I add those together, I get x to the minus 10th. Looking at my y's, I have y to the 4th and y to the minus 4. 4 minus 4 is 0, so the y's actually cancel out. The m's, I have m to the 8th and m squared. If I add those, I have m to the 10th. The k's actually cancel each other out too, because I have k squared and k to the negative 2nd. And so this would be my, my final answer. Now we're going to completely change topics and go to volume conversions. So let's go ahead and start with that. This is a very simple one, so it shouldn't take very long. So we've learned about area conversions. So when we're doing volume conversions, for example, if I have 75 inches cubed, so 75 cubic inches, and I want to convert that into cubic centimeters. So I'm going to have to, first, I'm going to write it this way so that it makes more sense. 75 inches cubed is actually inches times inches times inches. And so if I want to cancel out inches, I actually have to do it 3 times to do that. So in order to cancel inches and convert to centimeters, I know that 1 inch is equivalent to 2.54 centimeters. And so I would have to actually do this. This cancels out inch 1 time, but I have to do this 2 more times. So I would do 2.54 centimeters over 1 inch, and another 2.54 centimeters over 1 inch. And that's going to cancel out the inches, the other 2 inches. Now what I end up with is, just simplifying, 75 times 2.54. Since I don't want to write this 3 times, I'm going to use the exponent of 3, and then centimeters cubed would be my new unit. So it's basically the same as conversions of area, you just have to do it 3 times instead of 2 times. So one more example, you can do this last one on your own. If I want to convert 28 cubic meters, or meters cubed, and I want to convert that into cubic inches. So go ahead and try that one on your own. All right, so checking this last example, I have to convert meters to centimeters, so I know that there's 1 meter is equivalent to 100 centimeters. And just to save some space, I put the exponent of 3 here, so I don't have to write it 3 times in a row. And then once I've canceled out the meters cubed, I need to cancel out centimeters, so I put 2.54 centimeters on bottom, and I get 28 times 100 cubed over 2.54 cubed inches cubed.